Alright, so we're looking at the Year 8 linear functions test and how to get 100% on all the questions. So here we go. Number 1. Table of values. So y equals 2x plus 1, it's just substitution. So multiply it by negative 1. So you get minus 2 plus 1 is minus 1. 2 times 0 is 0, plus 1 is 1. And 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. Right. Number 2. Same again, y equals x minus 5. So whatever x is, we're taking away 5. So minus 2 take away 5 is minus 7. 0 take away 5 is negative 5. And 2 take away 5 is negative 3. Now we're going to plot these on our Cartesian plane. So this is the coordinate minus 2, minus 7. So we go 2 to the left and 7 down. Draw it as an x. I'll show you that. 0, negative 5. 0, negative 5 is there. And 2 minus 3 is there. Now you get your ruler to match up these, and they should be in a perfect straight line. Now it's important to extend your line to cover, and we also need to label it. So the original equation was y equals x minus 5, so we'll label it y equals x minus 5. You don't need to put the arrows on either end. Number 3, what is the gradient? So the gradient is the coefficient of x. The gradient here is 3, the gradient here is negative 4, and the gradient here was x over 2, or half of x, so the gradient is a half. Just those three only, 1 mark each. Which of the following coordinates would be on the line x equals 8? Well, that's when it has an x value of 8. X is the first number, it's clearly D, because it's the only one that starts with an 8. Turn to the page, question 5. Let me just sort out the focus. Alright, the coordinate of the y-intercept for the line, so it ends in a negative 3, so it must be 0, negative 3, D. True or false? The graph for the line y equals 5x passes through the origin. It does, because there's no intercept, or it's an intercept of 0, it is true. What is the gradient of the line parallel? Well, parallel means the same gradient. The gradient here is 7, so it must be 7. B. True or false? I like these ones. The line in the graph below has a negative gradient. It's going downhill, so it does have a negative gradient. Alright, number 9. Everyone loses marks for this one because it says write the coordinates for the x and y intercept. Well, the x-intercept is 4, 0. It's a coordinate. And the y coordinate is 0, 2. 1 mark each. Number 10. Calculate the x and y intercepts. Well, the y intercept is pretty straightforward. It ends in the minus 12, so it's 0, minus 12. Now to find your x-intercept, you could do minus c divided by m. So that becomes, so c is the last number, negative 12. So minus that becomes positive 12. So it becomes 12 divided by 3, which is 4, 0. So there's your marks there. The y-intercept is 0 minus 12, the x-intercept is 4, 0. 11. Find the midpoint. Well, all you've got to do is use your midpoint formula. How do you find the middle of two numbers? You add them together and divide it by 2. So there's your first x, first y coordinate. There's your second x, second y coordinate. So all you've got to do is go 4 plus 1 divided by 2 and 5 minus 1 divided by 2. Well, 4 plus 1 is 5, divided by 2 is 2.5, and 5 take away 1 is 4, divided by 2 is 2. 1, 2, 3. Easy. Number 12. Which quadrant does the line not pass through? So I'm going to do a little sketch. So it's got an intercept of minus 4, which is roughly down there, and it's going uphill about a gradient of 2. So it goes through this quadrant, it goes through this quadrant, it goes through this quadrant. Which one does it not go through? Second. Number 13. Write an equation of a line that only passes through 2 quadrants. So you could have a line that goes like this. Y equals x. You could have a line that just goes through these two, which could be something like x equals minus 3. Or you could have a line that, say, just goes through these two, which could be something like y equals 2. So basically any answer that has y equals something x but no intercept x equals a number or y equals a number, any of them are fine. What's the gradient? So our gradient formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Basically it's rise over run. First x, first y, second x, second y. All you've got to do is substitute. So it's 2 take away 10 over 8 take away 3. 2 take away 10 is negative 8, and 8 take away 3 is 5. Minus 8 divided by 5, use your calculator if you want, it's going to be minus 1.6. So either way you want to do that one. 15. What's the equation of the line from the following table? Alright, a few easy ways you could do this one. First of all, it ends in a minus 1, so it must be y equals and it must end in a minus 1. Now we just need to find the gradient. Now the gradient is how it's going up each time. That's plus 3, plus 3, plus 3, plus 3. So the gradient must be 3. Quick way of doing that one, I reckon. Number 16. The graph shows the conversion between centigrade and Fahrenheit. What's the exact, that's important, temperature when it is 40 degrees C? Now if you actually went up here, it looks like your answers may be about 100 or so on, but that's not exact. So all you've got to do is substitute 40 into there. So you do 1.8 multiplied by 40 plus 32. We're going to use a calculator for it, 104. Let's go. 1.8 times by 40 equals plus 32. The Fahrenheit is 104 degrees. It looks about right as well. 17. Graph the line x equals negative 4. Here's our x-axis. Here's where x is negative 4. It's a vertical line that goes through there. So you must use a ruler. And we're going to label it. Done. 18. Graph the line with a gradient of 7 over 3 that passes through minus 2, minus 6. Now, this is one of the questions that if you try to do algebraically, it's horrible. First of all, find your coordinate. Minus 2, minus 6 is here. Now, because your gradients rise over run, it's got a run of 3 and a rise of 7. So if you went across 3 and up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that's got a rise of 7 and a run of 3, which means that must be another coordinate. Now you only need 2 coordinates to draw the line, so it says graph the line. So there it is, that's what the line would look like. Easy way of doing it. 19. Which of the following is a vertical line? Well, vertical line is just y equals a number. No, it's not. A vertical line, sorry, is x equals a number. So it must be A. Question 20. For a line that is parallel to the x-axis, hang on, so here's my x-axis, so to be parallel to the x-axis, it must be y equals something. So y equals 5 or y equals minus 7, let's have a look, and passes through the point. So it's y equals something, and the y value is minus 7, that must be the answer there. Alright. Question 21. What's the equation of the line? So, it's diagonal, so that's y equals. It's got an intercept of minus 6, so it's something x take away 6. Now to find the gradient. So the gradient you could do rise over run on this one. That's across 3 and up 6. So m would be rise over run, which in this case is 6 over 3, which is 2. The equation must be y equals 2x minus 6. 22. Draw the line y equals minus 2x plus 4. A few easy ways of doing this. First of all, the intercept is 4. Now the gradient is negative 2, so that means each time we go across 1, we go down 2. That's enough coordinates to draw it. Extend your line and make sure we label it. Y equals minus 2x plus 4. 23. A graph passes through these 2 coordinates. What's the midpoint? Well, midpoint we've already done, so let's just, so you add the x values, divide by 2, add the y values, divide by 2, So you get 1 plus 3 is the x, 2 plus 14 is the y. So 1 plus 3 is 4, divided by 2 is 2, 2 plus 14 is 16, divided by 2 is 8, 1, 2, 3 marks. What's the equation of a line? Now to find the equation of a line we need to find the gradient first. Use our formula. So m equals y2 minus y1, so that's 14 minus 2, over 3 minus 1, which becomes 12 divided by 2. So our gradient must be 6. Now let's use the equation of a line formula, which is y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. Substituting my x1 and y1, so we get y minus 2 equals the gradient we worked out was 6, x minus 1. Now we're going to expand this to get 6x minus 6. Now this minus 2 moves to that side to become plus 2, and the y is left over here. So all I've got to do now is do minus 6 plus 2, which becomes minus 4. 3 marks for finding the gradient, 3 marks for finding the final equation. Question 24. The line below goes from minus 2, 2 to 4, 5. What is the equation of the line that passes through the midpoint at a right angle? Okay, so first of all, we need to find the midpoint. So to find the midpoint, again, it's x1 plus x2 over 2, y1 plus y2 over 2, and we get minus 2 plus 4 and 2 plus 5. So our midpoint, minus 2 plus 4 is 2, divided by 2 is 1, 2 plus 5 is 7, so 1 and 3.5. Let's just double check, does it look right? 1, 3.5. There it is. Now an equation at right angle, so I'm going to draw a line and see roughly what it looks like. Should have been straight up because I'm using a ruler. So that's what our line should look like. Now it looks like it passes round about between 5 and 6. So first of all we need to find the gradient of this original line. So the gradient of this original line, well, it's 3 high and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 across. So the gradient for the original line is 3 over 6, which is a half. Now the gradient of your perpendicular line is minus 1 divided by our old gradient. So it's minus 1 divided by our old gradient, which was a half, which will give us negative 2. So we now know the gradient of our line, and we now know a coordinate that it goes through. So all we've got to do is use our equation and substitute in this and this. So y minus y1, 3.5, equals m minus 2, x minus x1, which is 1. And once again, let's expand this bracket. Minus 2x plus 2, because a minus times a minus is a positive. Minus comes to this side to make it plus 3.5. Simplify it. Now let's double check if it looks about right. We think it is. Y equals minus 2x plus 5.5. Let's have a look. So it's going down in 2's and it goes through about 5.5. Yep, I'm happy with that. That must be the answer to it. That's the last question, and that's how you get 100% on the Year 8 linear functions.